Hey folks, when I do my videos on working on the forklift, I've been kind of jumping around because, sometimes I got to wait on something, and so to keep working, I jump to the next thing and then I go back and finish it. So, what I'm doing on this episode is I thought I'd go back and put a bunch of the videos together on doing the rebuilding the water pump, and then I'll probably do it for rebuilding the Continental Y91 and so forth. Some of those things, so that if you're just interested in a certain aspect of it, you don't have to go through and watch all the other stuff. So, if you follow the other videos, you're going to see, some of this will be a repeat for you. So, um, follow along here, and we'll start with the water pump, and then our put together some of the other videos. Water pump. So I'll go through those and probably replace seals and bearings, whatever I need to do. And I've got, this is the shaft, impeller shaft out of the water pump that I had to drive out, and I've got a replacement, brand new replacement. Here's the seal, and let me see, shaft's down there, I believe. Yep, right there's the shaft. Here's the replacement shaft. So, sorry about that. There's the replacement shaft. I have media blasted the housing. Now here's a problem I ran into when I did that. It was my mistake. See, you can see I use these plastic plugs to protect the inside of that shaft. I did not realize that there was a C-ring here between the seal and the bearing, and so when I pressed it out down here, I broke some of the casting off right in here. So what I'm going to have to do, where did I put it? Maybe it's over here. We're going to go, I'll try to find it here, but we're going to go and we're going to put the old C-clip back in there, and then I'm going to use some JB Weld on that to fix that. The other thing I found that concerns me, where is it? It's sitting around here somewhere. There's the impeller. It's fine. Somewhere around here is the back plate that goes over this. And it is, let me turn this on, maybe I can see better. There it is. Very pitted. So I'm going to go ahead and JB Weld that too and grind it down. So there's a hole, an erosion hole there also. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Okay, what I've done, and you can probably see the damage to it. I put the C-clip back in, and you can see, you can see right along there is where it broke out. I don't know, it'd probably be okay, because it theoretically, the seal will sit in there. There shouldn't be any water antifreeze getting past there. But just to make myself feel better, we're going to use this JB high heat, and I'm going to squirt it in there, and then what I'll do is after a little bit I remove the C-clip, and then I grind it down, and I hope, fingers crossed, that will work. Okay, that's what it looks like. I'll let it sit up for a while, and then I'll attempt to remove that that C-ring. So in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and see what we can do to fill this stuff up. Okay, I've mixed my JB weld up. It's nice gray consistency. I took a popsicle stick and cut it down, squared it off. Now we're going to try to put it in there, square that off. I don't think I'm going to be able to hold this so you can see when I'm applying it, so I'll do it and then show you how it turns out. Okay, I pulled the C-clip out of there, and this is hard enough. Interestingly enough, this stuff's still tacky. But anyway, what I'm going to do is take this and carefully grind that down, and then our next step will be to go ahead and powder coat the outside, and then coat this with the Gliptol. So this is going to take two hands. Let me do that, and I'll show you the aftermath. Okay, hopefully you can see that, but I got it ground off. Pretty good. Would have liked to have been a little bit smoother with it, but anyway, it's going to do the trick. So we'll get this powder coated next and start to put it together. I need to fill some spots on that yet, but like I said, this stuff will let it cure a little bit longer. Alrighty, let's see what it looks like. Take it out. Alright. Huh. Interesting. But there's what she looks like. I'll pull our plugs out of here. Go put those away so we don't lose them in a minute. A little one stuck down here. Okay, got those off. So far so good. Here's something that's funny. Pull the tape off here. Okay, so that fell out. No big deal. So it's all taped up. So that looks all good. Boy, that came out really good. I'm gonna, I had a cap in there that I must have lost in there. I don't think that was the right cap. Anyway, it melted through the bottom of the plastic there. So, you can see there's the circle that it melted. Okay. Put a coat of Gliptol on the inside of the water pump housing. I tore apart the seal that was in there and just put that in there to keep that area protected from the Gliptol, or knock that back out when I go to put the new seal in. Trying to decide if I should put another coat of it on there or not. That's probably good enough though. Okay, here's that backing plate after I hit it with the old grinder. Not perfect, obviously, but I like it a lot better than it was. I'm going to take this round file and straighten out these two holes here, and then we're figure out how we're going to preserve it. Okay, here's how I'm going to try to deal with where to paint the Gliptol on the backing plate, on the back plate. I'll lay out the gasket on here. I drew it out. I'm going to take a razor blade and then try to carefully cut that out, remove the tape, and then I'll just paint the Gliptol inside there. So let's see how that works. Try to give you a bird's eye view of this as I either fail or succeed here. I do not have the most steady hand. As far as I know, this is probably even an unnecessary step. I got it in my head, so now we're going to try it. Well, I don't think it came out too bad. So I'll put the Gliptol on here, paint that, let her dry, and we'll do the other side. I didn't even cut my fingers. What really helps a lot is when you actually stir the stuff up. I thought I was a little runny when I did that, and then I put it on here and realized it was all sitting at the bottom. It was all sitting at the bottom of the can. So, okay, here's how that plate looks like after I applied the JB Weld. Once it sets up, I'll grind that down smooth, hopefully. And then I still have a little bit. See that on the back? That looks like an erosion hole there from the block. And then we got a little bit right there we should probably fill up. Then my plan is, I've got a can of Gliptol left. I'm going to coat the inside of this and the inside of that with that. And I'm going to powder coat the front of the housing. So we'll move on, do a few other things here, and then get back to this once it sets up. In the meantime, this stuff is still pretty tacky. And in fact, that kind of, oops, let's see if you can see that. There you go. That stuff was gooey enough that it actually ran down, so I may have to do another coat, but I'm waiting for it to finish so I can hopefully pull that snap ring out of there and then grind it down. We've got a coat of the Gliptol. There we go. On the back side now, we're going to let that dry. Of course, we got it. Showed you this earlier. We got it on the inside of the housing. Anyway, you're supposed to, after it sets up, you're supposed to cook it in the oven at 150 degrees for 2 hours. So we'll get that done. And then I think it's about time to start reassembling. Here's our plate after pulling the tape off. So we're gonna lay it on our aluminum foil covered rack to put in the oven. And the reason I'm putting the aluminum foil on it, so I don't want it to stick to the powder coating that was on there. I got this set, and it's about 200. So about as low as I can go with this oven. So we're set her in there and see what happens after it bakes for a couple hours. We heated up the Gliptol and got that all cured. Let's see if we can get that other one. I'm wondering if this plate didn't stick to the aluminum foil a little bit. Yeah, I thought it would. Not as bad as I thought it would. So we'll go ahead and get that put back together. So, first thing I got to do to start putting the water pump back together is drive this shaft with the bearings into it. And so I put some 2x4s under it, hoping to preserve the powder coating that I did. And let me see if I can set you guys up somewhere so you can watch this debacle. There we go. And here we go. Make contact. Seems to be going okay. There's some type of ring or something up at the front. Let me see if I can feel it. It should stop it. There, I'm getting resistance. Let's bring it out and see what it looks like. Okay, you can see it's down there. See what the front looks like. Yep, front looks like it's right seated right there. So the next step was to put that clamp or clip back in there. Or our fancy, really nice set of channel lock unit was too thick to get in there, so I had this little set here. So I went and got that. Was able to snap it back in place. And so now the next thing we have to do is put that back on. Now the instructions for that say that from the top of this to the top of that needs to be 425 inches. And it says you must install the seal with a tool and push the top of the seal at the same time as the shell lip. So I'm going to have to work something out on that. Okay, here's what I came up with. Got an 1.25" socket, deep well socket. I cut a piece of copper pipe that I had, which will go over the shaft, fit inside there, and it's actually 0.4, I measured it as 0.425 inches below the top of here. Gotta see that. Below the top of there. So I'm going to take it over, put it in the press, and we'll press it in and see what happens. Alright, you can see we got her in there, and it's going down. Okay. Just gonna get a little bit better light on there. Okay, we made contact with the housing. Okay, let's check her out. I do believe that's down there about as far as I better take it. And we still have some turnage. So let's take her back to the bench and take a look at it. It was just slightly a little bit higher than 0.425. So I just went over to the press, gave it, put this back on, gave it a couple pumps, and now it's right in there. So the next thing we need to do is press the impeller back on. And if we look at the old shaft, you can see maybe it had about that much sticking up above. So we'll do that. All right, I had to go over and do one more little quick pump on the press, and now we are in business. So next thing we got to do is go over and put this bad boy back on. All right, let's get the pulley back on. See where we're at here. Nope. Let me check something. Not a good day out at the shop today. You notice the impeller is off. What happened is I didn't have the shaft supported under here. So when I pressed this on, it snapped that snap ring out of there. So now I'm not sure how to get the seal off without ruining it. So I may have to order a new seal. But I'll have to go back and research this. I don't know what I'll do. Well, I got the shaft out. What I ended up doing is pulling the pulley off. Of course, in the process, I had to break a bolt off in there. That should come out pretty easy because I chased those before I did that. And what ended up happening is that E-clip, I guess they're called, broke off in there. You can see I've got another one in there. In the process, it broke. I can't find the chip here to show. Oh, it didn't actually break the GB weld off. It broke more of the casting off. So I went and put the JB weld in there again, and or grind that down a little bit. In the meantime, I've got to try to get this. You can see the clip still in there. I've got to try to get that seal off without damaging it. So what I'm going to do is I went out and got a 8-inch piece of 1.25 inch iron pipe, and what I do is I'll lay that down in there and press it out, and hopefully I won't damage that seal. Otherwise I have to get another new one of those. So let me get that set up here. Okay, here's how I set it up. Nothing. There we go. Appears like it's okay, so we're just going to try to reuse that. Alright, I got the bearing and shaft pressed back in there. And you can see I got the E-clip, or internal snap ring, I guess. Placed back in there, so we'll go over. I'm not going to show you this because we already showed you, but we'll go over and put the seal back on. Well, disaster strikes again. When I was pressing the seal in, let's see if I can find it. Anyway, at the very top, there's a white ring that goes around it. I don't know if it's ceramic or what. And it broke. So I basically had to mangle it to get it out. So I'll have to order another one of those and try pressing it back on. Boy, this old water pump's just kicking my butt. Okay, so here we are back on the water pump. These are the remnants, that of two brand new pump seals that I have proceeded to ruin. You know, I think I showed you I had the socket with the copper tube in it. Second time I tried to push it down there, it broke the ceramic part of the seal. So this is the third seal. So what's the guy to do? Well, you go to your 3D printer and you make a seal driver for this. Basically, that inner hole fits over the shaft snugly, and this fits down in there. And coincidentally, that is set, the depth of that, you can see there's this in here, the depth of that is set to 0.425 inches exactly. So we're going to go over to the press and press this in. By the way, I printed this out of PETG, and I printed it 100% infill, so it should hold up. So let's go over there and take a shot at it again. Okay, here's how I have it set up in the press this time. If you remember last time, I had a couple boards underneath here anyway, under the housing, and I pressed this down. Problem with that is there's a ring up here that holds that main bearing in there. It held up, but I'm trying not to put so much stress on that. So that's it, kind of in there at an angle. Let me straighten that back out. Okay, I think I got it in there straight, so see what happens. I gotta go get a light. Looks like we got about 1/4 of an inch to go yet. Looks good, don't it? Yep, I think we finally got it. Okay. So here we are back with the water pump again. You can see the tool I made did really good, and got that right where it needs to be. The next thing I need to do is put the impeller back on. So I'll go over to the press and do that again. This time I'll make sure I support the end of the shaft here. Last time I didn't, and then that presses against this ring here that holds that bearing in place. So I'm going to make sure that this time I support that, and then do the opposite when I do this, because that's what started the whole problem in the first place. I supported the impeller but not the shaft itself, so then it pushed that bearing back from that retainer clip here and popped the retainer clip out that was inside there and broke that. So that's what, so when I go to do the, when I go to put this on, I need to make sure I support the shaft, not the impeller. So let's go get started with that. Okay, I got the impeller on, clears the cover. So now we're on to making sure, putting this on and making sure we don't screw up like we did last time. So we'll go over and do that on the press here in just a second. Okay, you can see I got a socket underneath the shaft there. see. I'm gonna check the positioning. That seems to be going on there kind of hard. Let me check that and I'll get back to you here. Okay, there we got it. Do a little touch up, but I think we finally got it. Yay! All right, now we just gotta go put the back cover back on it. Okay, put this gasket on. I'm gonna use a little bit of this former gasket non-hardening. Put it on both sides, and then I put the cover on. So I'm going to just spread it really thin, lay the gasket in there, and then spread it on the other side of the gasket. Like I said, I put it on really thin, spread it out. And I lay the gasket on, put another coat on there, and then put the cover on. I'm hoping that will fill up any gouges or scratches in that surface and in the surface of the backing plate. Okay, one other thing is I'm usually really careful about making sure I get some of that around the holes, the screw holes. The original rebuild kit I bought came with new beveled screws, and also gasket for mounting it to the motor. So at this point we're done until we put it back on the motor, finally.